it really demonstrates because I'm less concerned. It's been it's been impossible to concern myself with the Republicans and what they've been doing for roughly about 4 months because the Democrats have been so bad. And I have a hard time telling someone else to get their house in order when my house is basically burning down. And the Republicans have always been, well, not always, but they've for a long time, they've been pretty shitty and they've been pretty open about their shittiness. But this electoral cycle has just ruined the Democrats. It's ruined the liberal media. It's ruined the credibility of and many Democratic pundits and many Democratic think tankers as being inherently anti-scientific, irrational, vaguely racist, vaguely sexist, like all of these things that they accuse Republicans of, jingoistic, warmongers, all of these things that were traditionally thought to be Republican traits have been proven to just be a trait of the establishment. Yep. And that if you are supporting an establishment candidate, you simply adopt those traits immediately. It's just like it was, remember, I mean, the most disgusting part of the DNC was, or DNCC, was when people were basically booing those chanting "No more war." To and it becomes
they were chanting USA over those. They
were chanting USA. Like when did Democrats become so bad? And I mean, of course, the answer to that is around the 70s with Jimmy Carter. That's when it started. But it becomes, okay, well, at least everyone now knows that the illusion of Democratic Party as being the party of smart people is now completely dispelled. It's like we watch on a daily basis pundits on MSNBC who we once respected and thought to be the good pundits get basic math wrong, feel entitled to minority votes, to shame women and poor people for deciding that they don't want to be poor anymore. And it becomes very it's disgusting because ultimately it shows you that for the large part, ideology is less important than socioeconomic status. We talk about the difference between class and race a lot, but I think we have to talk about the difference between class and ideology. And it's just like ideology fails out a lot to class as well in terms of the determining factor for how you view the world. And so for all these Democrats who just happen to be super wealthy, turns out they're not so much Democrats as they are generally okay with the idea of women and Black people.
Yeah, like I absolutely agree. And it's just interesting thinking about this whole conversation and what you were just saying about ideology too, as we look now next week, 12/19, the electors are supposed to convene. And now there's been a call and the Hillary Clinton campaign. This is again why I have a problem with them. How are you so concerned about the outcome and the sanctity of our election? We're not actually seeing if votes, we're not even polling and talking to people to see what influenced their decision to vote or not to vote. We're just assuming, and now we're trying to flip people for states she didn't actually win. Because again, the allegation is not that there was any wrongdoing. Now, again, there was voter suppression and stuff like that. The GOP with 2000. If you didn't check out my interview last week with David Daly, author of Rat Fucked, about redistricting after the 2010 elections, please check it out. It's on the channel. But seriously, like there were issues in North Carolina, there were issues in Wisconsin, there were issues in some of these places that were or should be contested. But on the flip side, Democrats only step up and actually address voter access, voter suppression. Think about Florida, right? How many felons could people who have been convicted of felonies, former felons, people convicted of felonies, could restore the right to vote, right? Think about how many people that adds to your numbers. If you're in certain district jurisdictions. Right now in Ohio, we think about redistricting. We think about the way things have happened. Right now in Ohio, there's not one, there's two screwed up abortion bills sitting on Kasich's desk, along with a bill which is similar to some of the provisions of HB2, which forbids the any type of municipal raising of the minimum wage. And he's the moderate Republican, so we'll see what he do. Allegedly, we'll see what he does. But what people don't understand about this whole faithless elector thing, right? Like I was just before we came on, I was just reading an article. So there is a little news, right? Other than this stuff, kind of. But there were some electors in Colorado that don't want to cast their vote for Hillary Clinton. Now, mind you, everyone's trying to convince the Trump electors not to vote for him, but no one's really thinking about Republican electors in states that are supposed to vote for Hillary Clinton. And so there were two from Colorado, and they were saying that they did not want to vote for her. So they went to court to get whatever the law is in place in Colorado, lifted for them for that proper purposes, allegedly because it violated their First Amendment. I'll get to that part in a second. But the judge basically said, no, that it doesn't defeat the purpose of the intent of the Electoral College, because the Electoral College is supposed to represent the votes of that state, not their own personal votes. You vote personally. It's the same argument about superdelegates, right? You already vote as a person. You get to exercise your vote. Why do you then get a double vote? And that's basically what they're saying in terms of in this Colorado case. But I think it's interesting because what they were saying is they wanted to be able to switch their vote to show solidarity with Republicans if there's an alternative Republican candidate that is named by the electors. Listen to that for a second, right? Everyone wants the electors to review the intelligence, to do this, to change their minds. What people are not banking on is the fact that they don't like Hillary Clinton. They're not going to change their mind to her, because there's nothing that says that they have to change to the other, presidential candidate. And if you think about it, Gary Johnson, by some counts, got 5%, so they could very well pick his crazy self too, right? But it's rumored that that Kasich is actually someone people have thought about. Some people have thought about Mitt Romney as well. We'll see what happens next week. But this whole notion that somehow Hillary's still going to get in, even though she didn't, I get not wanting Trump. Trump is a disaster. Hell, we could end up with Pence. Pence is even worse. And quite honestly, strategically, that was a bad move. Trying at reasonable Republicans and you're better than this, they're really not. Let's just be real. The establishment Republicans that set the stage for somebody like Trump to run, they're not. I'm not going to sit here and shit on average rank and file folks who vote Republican. I may not necessarily agree with it, but working people do the things that they do for the reasons they do them. And that's a whole nother conversation and topic. When we're looking at these establishment Dems, when we're looking at the establishment Republicans, Freudian slip, when you look at people who are running for office and stuff, they should have been pinned to Trump because they have let the stage be set for Trump's rise. Go ahead.
Ideally, and see, this is where I guess I break apart from a lot of people. Ideally, I just want everyone to accept the fact that Trump won and use that as their wake up moment, because I think a large portion of the Democratic Party and a large portion of Democratic voters have been living in this odd bubble where the Republicans are this fringe party and they'll never be president again and they'll never win anything, and Democrats are winning and they're winning and they're winning. But if you look at the map, by no metric are Democrats winning anything. By no metric are liberal ideas winning everything. At best, we occasionally get marijuana legalized in a state, and no offense, but that is not my biggest concern.
Well, and even still, right? If you're someone generally predominantly Black, young, and male, and you were previously incarcerated, or you still are incarcerated, like is in the case in Colorado and other states that legalize marijuana might be legalized, but that didn't retroactively do anything about people's, petty charges.
You're still in jail.
You're still in jail, or that charge is still on your account. We're not letting you open up a dispensary. So it's not. So I agree with what you're saying right there, because there are other considerations that it's just oh, we've arrived, and it's nah, not really.
This needs to be the moment in which Democrats, and I would say, and I've been saying this a lot, but the subsection of the population who have been left comfortable, wealthy, important by the status quo need to understand what the rest of America is like and what people who don't look or have as much money as them are going through, and understand that Trump is a byproduct of that. And so was Clinton, and Clinton offered no solution to Trumpism. The Democrats are no longer offering, and they haven't been offering any more solutions to neoliberalism or republicanism. All they're offering is a slower march towards, the destruction of the American economy, of the middle class, of the impoverished, of civil rights. They're just talking about it being a slower decline. They don't have any plan to go backwards. I think the analogy is voting for Trump is like voting to go to hell, and voting for Clinton is like voting to go to a city you don't want to go to. It's like, well, either way, you're going in the wrong direction.
Right.
And so, like, when do we start moving towards the right things, and when do we start elevating people's voices to who are talking about traditional democratic ideals? And that's another problem. The way the Democrats have promoted the people who have been promoted within the Democratic Party and who have been getting the quote unquote experience necessary to run for president, they don't represent the ideals of the Democratic base anymore. And like, it comes down to, okay, who are we actually going to run in 2020? Because all of the people who have the quote unquote experience are basically just like Hillary Clinton.
We're just gonna run Hillary Clinton again in 2020. She'll only be what, 72, 73? It'll be okay. No, yeah, I'm not. Although I am in possession. Shout out to people for Bernie. I am in possession of a Bernie hindsight is 2020 T-shirt. Yeah,
it's not even hindsight. Everyone knew what was happening, and like, only people who are saying, "Oh, hindsight," are people who are purposely ignoring the warning.
It's clever.
It's clever, but I hear it a lot from people. This sort of notion that it was unpredictable. It's like, no, people were saying it. People were screaming it at you, but what you did was you closed those people out of the conversation, and you invited more people in who would tell you what you wanted to hear, and you created a delusion. Like, you created a new reality for yourself where everything was more comfortable. What you didn't understand was that you were unable to fully, I mean, like, your reality wasn't reality. It was just, the Matrix, for lack of a better word. And eventually all delusions come to an end. All bubbles get popped.